Hello. Welcome to episode number 31 of... People are laughing here in the room because I always forget. It's episode number 31 of CXOTalk. I'm Michael Krigsman, and I'm here with my absolutely delightful co-host, Mr. Vala Offshore. Vala?
Michael, great seeing you.
It's good to see you again.
See you as well.
It's been a long time.
Yes, it has.
And today we have an extra special show. It's themed because this has been the week that EDUCAUSE, which is the major conference for higher ed technology, takes place.
Yeah, I was very disappointed I couldn't attend EDUCAUSE, but it is the most prestigious higher ed conference in the U.S., and we are very fortunate to have three of the most social CIOs in all of higher ed joining us on CXOTalk today.
Yeah, it's pretty extraordinary. So we have three CIOs with us today. We have Phil Komarny from Seton Hill University, Steve DiFilipo from Cecil College, and Kelly Walsh from the College of Westchester. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good.
Great.
Good.
So, starting with Phil, why don't you briefly introduce yourselves?
Briefly, my name's Phil Komarny. I'm the Vice President, Chief Information Officer for Seton Hill University. We're a small liberal arts school right outside of Pittsburgh, and we went all in with mobile social cloud back in 2010.
Hello, Phil.
Hey, Vala.
And Steve.
Yes, my name's Steve DiFilipo. I'm the Vice President and Chief Information Officer at Cecil College, which is a small community college in northern Maryland. We border Delaware and southern Pennsylvania, so it actually makes us a regional college. We do pull students from those adjoining states, so it's a small community college.
And last but not least, Mr. Kelly Walsh.
Hi, I'm a CIO at the College of Westchester in White Plains, New York. We're a small private school. I'm also the founder and author of EmergingEdTech.com, a blog and website where I blog about instructional technologies and learn about them and share that learning journey.
And a daily stop on my daily journey on the internet. So thanks, Kelly.
Fantastic. Well, we're honored to have three CIOs. It's hard to get you guys, you CIOs, it's hard to get you together in one place.
On a Friday, too.
Especially on a Friday afternoon.
All right.
Well, I'm really proud to have the opportunity to speak with you. I recently published a Huffington Post of the top 50 most social CIOs in the country, and you are amongst 1, 2, and 3. So our audience, myself and others, want to know your journey, how you started, and why you invest in social media and the benefits that you see as a CIO. And I'll start with Phil, and then Steve, and then Kelly.
Well, I mean, I've been doing it for about, I don't know my exact start date, my egghead date, but it's been at least a year and a half, almost 2 years that I really use it daily, like I do now. But I think it's just a curated news feed. It's a curation of like information with like-minded colleagues that I have access to. And I used to have to go to Google and search these things out, and now I can actually, go in there and look at a group of people that I value and be able to socially read and understand information at a different rate. I've read a lot more since I've been doing this. Plus, it's like I think it's a knowledge amplifier. It amplifies everything we do because I get to see it from not just my perspective, but maybe Steve will add a perspective. Vala, Michael, everybody, Kelly could give you a different look at that information and make better decisions. So I mean, I use it for learning is really why I'm really interested in Twitter and the networking capability of it.
Yeah, you had an acronym where you called it Personal Learning Network.
Oh yeah, it definitely did. It creates a really good personalized learning network where you can, you value these people and you value their opinions. It's really easy to get that sentiment very quickly with Twitter, and it's a very valuable part of my daily routine now. So.
How long did you have the egghead avatar before you actually put a picture?
I'm embarrassed. I probably had it for a while. I did. I didn't understand it. I like everybody else. Everybody gets into this mode like you tell them to use Twitter, and they're like, what am I going to do with that? But then I've done some presentations here on campus for our faculty and our staff to make them understand it's not narcissism. It's not egotism. It's not your ego. It's really about. And it's not yelling in a coffee shop. People think that's what it results in, and it's not. It's really curated news.
So Steve, what's the value? You spend a fair amount of time on social media, and why? Why do you? I mean, you must be a pretty busy guy. Why do you spend the time?
Well, first, I've had a mediated involvement, an interest in mediated communication for my entire life. And back in the 70s, when I was getting my master's degree at New York University, I was involved in holography and all kinds of mediated mass communication. So I've had a lifelong interest in anything that lets me expedite or enhance or better engage an audience or expedite communication. So that sort of set the foundation. So when things of the social networking, social media came along, it was a very natural adoptive process for me. The other thing I do is I study ecosystems. So I'm very interested in not just the technology or the shiny object on the floor, but how can you really best understand how that enhances the communication process? What are the pros and cons? Where does it take something away? How does it disrupt an existing process? So in terms of my own time, because I have a proclivity for all this, I don't see it as an intrusion on my time, and because I leverage the tool sets available to me, like being able to select what comes through my cell phone from my Twitter stream or my Google Plus stream or my LinkedIn stream, I don't mind the immediacy of a disruption, and I can get a tweet back or a quick retweet or do a quick response on Google Plus and just move on. So I can be walking down the hall, I'll step aside. It just happens all day long from 4 o'clock in the morning until close to midnight.
Mm. And Kelly, for you, being engaged in social media, is there actually a benefit to IT and improving IT performance? I mean, that's your job, or is it more just kind of fun?
Well, it's an interesting question, particularly in terms of the way I came about it. I was driven to get involved in this and leverage these kinds of tools because when I came into the CIO role at the school about five and a half years ago, I had been in more traditional businesses prior to that, and I was particularly fascinated by the instructional uses of technology. And it wasn't, and I think in many places it's not necessarily a very standard part of the role. We have to deal with the typical keeping the lights on and all of the CIO responsibilities that are normal in any business. But here there's this interesting twist of, well, how's it being used in the classroom? How's it being used in learning? And I was fascinated by that idea, and so I kind of stepped, I made an effort on my own to start learning about that. I started the blogging, leveraging a lot of different social media tools to have an ongoing conversation, much like Phil and Steve alluded. And it does become pretty organic after a while to use these media streams, incoming and outgoing. And that was really the impetus for me. It was an opportunity to learn about instructional technologies, force my hand at learning that, and the beauty of it is there's so much natural synergy with everything else you're learning, not just traditional IT focus, but even things like understanding how social media plays a role in marketing and having that dialogue with the marketing folks, and just so many different ways it's becoming a part of what everybody's doing and thinking.
Phil, can you talk about the power of collaboration in your campus in terms of perhaps improving student retention, student acquisition, bringing students and faculty and administration closer together? I know you're a 100% mobile campus, and social and mobile, which fuels the other, it can be debated, but certainly we are in this connected world, hyper-connected world. Sure. Talk about some benefits of collaboration in terms of the user experience and perhaps targeting on students.
Retention. Well, when I think of social, I don't think of just people. I think people and data together. So interacting with data in an environment with people. So in that regard, think of student retention. We'll put that in that context. Is we deployed since we're mobile and social and we have all cloud-based infrastructure here. Our portal overarches all of our ERP systems, so we use it as an application layer to develop apps that mash data up to make our org a lot more streamlined towards what our business wants to produce. And one of the big driving factors is student retention. So the way we answered that was we created a way through our portal as our professors log into our portal from their podiums, they're able to look on their iPads, see the class graphically, each person's picture, face. It also tells them a little bit of information about each student, like what type of devices they do have that we've issued to them, what version of iPad, do they have a camera or don't they, things like that. But we took it a step further and allowed the faculty member to just touch the person's face, and it would let them add an alert. Maybe the student's not progressing well in the class, or not attending, or something's going haywire. As that person submits that, it's socially put out to the rest of the faculty. They're just teaching that student that semester, and they get sediment right then and there if there's a problem. So before that student leaves the classroom, usually, the dean of students knows about it, there might be an issue, and we're proactively engaging with that student before they leave. So we're looking at, retention increases over time of, almost in the double digits now, which is, that's a very good way to look at how we've taken data and people together, socialized it to create a new process that speaks to a very big issue here on most campuses of retention. So that's how we've kind of used our mobility, our cloud layer, and then throwing social in the mix really does give you a new language to speak and engage your organization with, and that's how we've approached it.
So are either of the other two CIOs, are you seeing a connection between social media and collaboration technologies with student acquisition, student retention, which really gets to the lifeblood of the economics of higher education?
Yeah, at Cecil College, we're using it on the front end, so to speak. So we're using it for admissions and for student recruitment. So that was the first sort of threshold for the college in terms of using social. And they've been using that extensively because that's the traditional age student, the 17 or 18-year-old in high school making a decision about college. So we've leveraged Facebook, we've leveraged Twitter, they're using Pinterest, they're using Instagram. So we're engaging the students as much as we can, as frequently as we can, on their turf, so to speak. So that was the first place we really stepped off the curb with social media, and I was helping to champion that process, but I let the staff and the folks who will run that and know that process better to really utilize that. We're now just about to bring on board two-way texting, so that rather than relying on email, which most of the data tells us students don't really look at, we're now leveraging the opportunity to reach out to students via text and then have them reach back to us immediately using two-way texting protocols. The other thing we've done, which is fairly novel as I understand it, is we've taken the application to attend college and we have embedded it into Facebook. We've done it using technology that allows us to maintain a level of security of data transmission, but while the student is still logged into their Facebook account, they can navigate their way over to the Cecil admissions page and complete the application while they're still, in theory, laying in bed in the morning or having breakfast or whatever. So they don't have to exit Facebook, go to another web page, another website, and sort of authenticate there or whatever. We're bringing ourselves or positioning ourselves where they hang out, as Phil said, in the coffee shop or around the corner or wherever in the student lounge. They can access us however they want, and we are mobile first and social always.
Hey, Stephen, I had a question for him. Steve, how's that looking over time? How long have you been doing Facebook? Is that demographic still there? Because what I've been our rep metric says Facebook is kind of dying with our demographic of student. Here,
I think that's a real good point because we can look at things like the Pew American Life Research and other colleges and what their demographics are coming back and what their statistics are telling them and their research. But I really think it's cultural, and that has to do with the local culture. So we're a rural community college.
Oh, that's right.
By all U.S. Census data, we're rural, even though we're between Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. along the I-95 corridor. It's really a rural community. So our cultures, our norms are going to be a little bit different. So while 98% of our students have smartphones, we're finding they're still engaging us on Facebook, less on Twitter, mostly on Facebook.
I love hearing about things like when somebody says that they're doing things online to, in effect, meet and have a dialogue and collaborate with the customer where the customer lives.
Right.
Yeah, one of the to add to Stephen's comment about the texting, we put that in place early this year, the ability for our staff to reach out and text the students. One of the keys there in terms of being comfortable with that process from the perspective of where's the information, where's it going, and can we not have a rogue staff member doing something kind of on their own where there's no accountability in terms of that texting piece, we tied it right into our student information system. So the stream of texting that happens is stored permanently and archived, and that really raised the comfort level as an institution with doing that. And right to your point, this is how they're used to communicating, and everybody wants this. Everybody at the college wants to be able to do this because they know it works, and they know that that's what a lot of students are comfortable with in terms of how they want to communicate.
Do you believe?
If I can piggyback on Kelly for a second.
Sure.
His point's well taken. We want to understand that the faculty may have a different sort of social norm in terms of their interaction with social media, texting, things of that nature. So we're trying to make things easier for the faculty. So in terms of the texting component, we use Blackboard as our learning management system, and we've just implemented, or are in the process of implementing, a new tool set that they're providing to us that allows faculty to text a student, a group of students, or the entire class while the faculty member is still logged into Blackboard. They don't have to exit Blackboard and go to Twitter or some other tool set. It all happens right inside of an environment they're already comfortable with.
So it's clear that better connections are leading to better experiences for your student, faculty, administration. How has social and collaboration improved the perception of IT within your institution? I know, Phil, when you started as the CIO, there was, and I hope it's okay for me to tell the story, but there was a survey of all the various functions within Seton Hill, and the IT department didn't score so well.
We were last.
Last. Okay, well, you said it.
I'll say it. We're 11 out of 11th. We were 11th.
11 out of 11. And you walk in there and you bring a spirit of collaboration and wanting feedback. And again, you're one of the most active social CIOs that I know. Do you believe social? By the way, where are you now on the survey?
What survey? Oh, your survey. Well, that's what survey? What survey you're talking about, Paul?
How does IT rate?
How does IT?
We're number one.
So you went from 11
to first. Right.
You went from 11 to 1 in what time period?
In a year and a half. Year and a half. Right. So it's
awesome.
It is all around socializing that whole process, and it was a fight with my people. I mean, my staff. They were really wedded to Numara Track It was the name that was the program. It was very, it's client server based. It was very closed, but it was more of the old, we're going to come in and fix something for you and we're going to leave. And that's what I wanted to get away from. I want to fix your relationship with that computer. I don't care about the hardware anymore. That's easy to fix. I want to make your relationship with our network and our wireless and our platform that solid. And that's how we kind of positioned ourselves. So we had to get tools that would do that. So we went with Zendesk, which is cloud-based and completely social, and in literally almost overnight, the perception of what we do here changed like that. Just because we open the doors and accept criticism, accept the accolades as well. So it's a great environment to do that in.
So the biggest challenge you had was internal to IT in terms of wanting to embrace this social transformation.
Hardest silo to break your own. It really is, and it was a hard process. But I mean, we still have the fight, not fight, but it's we're about 90% cloud-based right now with one ERP system left, and it's still, those fights still happen. But it's a good conversation to have. So we're having conversations. That's a good.
So this digital transformation, then a lot of it has to do with the mindset. I mean, you've been talking about technology, but it sounds like underlying it has been the issue of more openness, more being receptive to collaboration, to taking criticism. How about gentlemen from the other schools? Kelly, what's your experience with this?
Well, yeah, we're interfacing with practically everyone because technology is touching everybody in their jobs.
That's right.
So the more effectively we can communicate, the better we're going to do. And obviously, these social media tools are great ways to communicate. When you give people the option to consume information in multiple ways and to be open in multiple ways, and they're a great way to, essentially advertise what you're doing, raise awareness, and be more transparent.
So, have you noticed? Can you describe some of the benefits that have come about, the practical benefits?
Sure. When I joined the school, there was considerable room for improvement in terms of the perception of how IT offered their services, and some of those things that Phil was talking about. The idea of we shouldn't be back there in the back office, and people need to feel that we're accessible when needed, and we're willing to help them. We're there to service them. Some of that has to do with just a great service mentality, but some of it has to do with also making yourself available and continuing to look to improve on their experience. And social media can play a lot of a role in those types of things, as well as us just being there to help support their uses of social media. And as the organization gets more and more comfortable with using it to reach out to all our constituents, we're really ultimately helping to facilitate many of the goals of college.
And Steve, can you talk a little bit about digital transformation? What does that mean? It's this buzzword that we hear, and sometimes people confuse social media with more deeper underlying digital transformation. So what is help sort this out for us?
Well, that's the $64,000 question.
That's why we asked you.
Thank you. Well, hopefully I have a $70,000 answer. The concept of digital transformation, we take a very organic approach on our campus. So our president, from our board of trustees down, promotes a culture of innovation, a culture of calculated risk, if you will. So there's some latitude for those of us who are in leadership roles. Actually, anybody can step up and take on the leadership role and initiate a project, and we pilot a project. And it transcends the whole campus community. And it goes beyond just the campus community, but the community community. So there's a high level of engagement around what works and trying new things to be innovative. And in a lot of cases, that's something that is technology-driven or technology-based. So then that becomes a sort of a form of digital transformation across the campus. So whether it's social media or whether it's flipping a classroom, or using portfolio management tools for our photography classes, or our special robotics and special types of things that are happening in a physics lab, where we're driving things more digitally than in the physical world. I think it just transcends the entire campus, and I think it's incumbent upon us to both, one, have an appreciation for and understanding of digital skills, 21st century skills, if you will, and then be able to make sure that we're providing our students the opportunity to acquire those skills so that they can become digitally proficient, so that when they go out into the workplace, which similar to, we all are aware that it's becoming more and more digitally adept, that they have the right kinds of skills to walk in the front door and step up to a kiosk, a computer, or some interface, and at least be comfortable with what they're facing. So I think, that is a $64,000 question. We consider all dangers define digital. But I think we have to pay attention to the fact that it's touching us all, as Kelly said, and just respond to that in a way that's organic, again, for what we do. I think in hearing some of these conversations, culture eats strategy every day. So if you're not paying attention to your culture, you can get lost in the shiny object on the floor. So we're a small shop. We don't use, inside of our IT department, we don't use social media because we're high touch. There's a lot of interpersonal interaction. Social transcends Twitter and Facebook and the technologies. We're social when we wake up in the morning, despite the fact that we're human beings. So we look at it at a very high level.
And digital transcends social.
Sure.
Right? Is that a reasonable way to say it?
It is a reasonable.
Yes.
Digital transformation, I think, it's a fusion of mobile, social, cloud, data, certainly app economy, and all tied to the user experience that all three of you CIOs are focused. I know in the enterprise, part of digital transformation is use of and modernization of customer relationship management, CRM tools. Today's modern CRM tools have embedded community capabilities, social analytics capabilities. They're all mobile form factors and give the insight that the business needs to deliver the right content at the right time across the right channel to customers. I want to know, are universities and colleges focusing on CRM technologies to better understand the needs of the stakeholders, students, faculty, and administration? I'll start with you, Phil.
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't really. We've been basically baking our own into our portal. We're extending that out into that environment as well, and using linking it back into our ERP system, so we don't have to. We can expose data and allow it to flow between the two. That allows us to get a real good visualization of what's going on out there in the field between our our mission staff, our coaches, anybody out there high touch with the students. We're able to catalog all those events through an iPad, through a touch interface. I don't have to train anybody anymore. They can just deliver the interface on an iPad. They go out and they're able to go out in the field and have actually the data they need to see when they need it. So those type of taking a process that's digital and making it one step better. And that's kind of where we live. And I think that's where IT can become a really big value driver for any organization. We do touch all those different orgs, and I think my strength here is really knowing those business lines and trying to bring them all together and make that into a cohesive application that can service all of them at once if we can. So we try to do those second and third levels of transformation on every time somebody brings us something. We want to know how it's going to touch the rest of the organization, and we really focus on that student's experience. So every one of our business processes that we are currently changing, we're not looking at the business process, and but we're really looking at the end of the day, how's it going to affect the student? And I think that's a really powerful thing now in education, that IT directors or people in IT can have that type of influence and that type of vision into the organization and really help it move forward.
But you're really talking about CRM plus. This is not just the management using CRM to manage salespeople. Steve or Kelly, what are you doing with, if anything, with CRM and extending it, as Phil was talking, into actual relationships and collaboration, going beyond just standard CRM transactions, so to speak?
It's a really interesting thing to put together, the idea of traditional CRM and then talk about social media, because I think almost organically they've started to be similar to each other, overlap. I mean, it's happening with so many tools where there's similar functionality in different tool sets. So we've been looking at the traditional CRM, the front end, what used to be called customer relationship management and is now more commonly referred to as constituent relationship management for quite a while, and we've recently transitioned to a new tool on the front end. But at the same time, in our relationships with how we interact with everybody who is our constituents. For example, in our career placement area, we're a career-focused school. We pride ourselves on our ability to make sure people are getting to work when they graduate and staying employed long-term or moving on further education. And we use a wide variety of tools there, and it's only grown in terms of ways in which students can be made aware of job opportunities, for example. What years ago used to be kind of one place, one way. Now it's available on an intranet portal. They can sign up through Aweber to get email notifications through newsletters, and that was something that came about because of my experience with the Aweber, doing what I was doing, blogging. And there's so many cases where one bit of knowledge feeds another, and then you think of new ways to use these tools and open up the possibilities for communication.
Right. Yeah, in business, in the enterprise today with CRM, the social analytic tools that exist there, the social listening tools for modern CRM solutions, so CRM plus solutions, the enterprise is looking for buying signals by analyzing the social analytics, and then they're leveraging integrated marketing automation technologies to, for example, nurture sales leads and so on and so forth. If student acquisition and retention is top of mind in universities and colleges, do you see universities expanding their social listening and analysis capabilities with social CRM technology, whereby they can identify in an automatic fashion, the signals that say students are potentially struggling in courses or potentially not able to complete their undergraduate, graduate curriculum? Similar as in terms of how the enterprise proactively looks at the market and then course corrects to grow revenue.
Absolutely. Stephen, you want to speak to that?
That's the hard question, right? Where does this stuff actually meet the road in terms of providing, really fundamental business benefits, the kind of benefits that your CFO says, this is great. You guys should be investing more time and more money in this.
I mean, if a student in any of your 3 campuses today went on Facebook and said, I'm about to quit, I'm struggling with history,
right?
How quickly can your administration, your faculty recognize that there's a signal and a student that's in trouble?
I think, I'm not really responsible for looking at I'm responsible to have that platform and the ability for them to see that, but it's different parts of the organization that actually intervene and do listen to that metric. We listen to them complain about our network. If we have a problem with wireless in the dorms, believe me, the first place I'm going to hear about it's on Twitter. And that's, instantly they're reaching back out and like, hey, what's wrong? I mean, we're going to communicate with them where they live, and it really does work.
So you have a pre-help desk,
well,
and it's Twitter.
I do, and it's not something we formally put out there. I have my network admins are on here with me, and we just, with our devices through Isaac, it's all of us communicating together. The more, the better, and if we are all visible and transparent, we actually can affect everything positively, I think so.
But this is in public. So if your network goes down,
hey, again, it's the pass and fail sometimes. Sometimes we do, and it's luckily, I mean, we do have a really robust network here, and it's that doesn't happen all that often. It actually doesn't happen. It hasn't happened this semester. So.
So it's fair to say that part of embracing social networks is to improve the execution velocity of IT, whereby before you get that help desk call, you have a sense that there's something that needs to be actioned with your team.
Absolutely.
But I'm not even sure what execution velocity even means, Vala.
The bottom line is if the internet goes down, everything goes down. At least that's the way it feels these days.
Right.
We knew that we changed the culture here whenever Google went down for 22 minutes, like about, I don't know, when 40% of the internet traffic went away for 20 minutes, months ago. It was amazing to hear how many people complained that their email didn't work. I mean,
so Kelly, sorry, Kelly. So what is execution velocity? I want to explore this for a moment. What does execution velocity mean in your environment?
You got to react quick. You got to be paying attention. You got to be paying attention to what matters the most, what's going to have the biggest impact. Fortunately, if you're proactive enough, you're not running around putting out too many fires, but things are going to go wrong, and you certainly can't control when the local provider is going to go down. Maybe your backup's taking a while to come up or whatever the case is. So you have to be paying attention, and social media is a great way to just provide additional channels for that input to come in that, hey, something's going on we need to pay attention to. And you need to be ready to react fast and move priorities sometimes when you have to go after something that you realize, hey, this has bigger implications. Let's go fix this.
And Steve, in your environment, let's actually sort of hit this execution velocity question from a slightly different angle. Taking a step up from social media, what is the role of IT in helping the institution as a whole raise its execution velocity? I'm still not sure exactly what execution velocity is, but in this context, let's go.
We'll have a session after this.
We'll have yes.
It's how fast can you get it done?
Right, get it done.
So Steve, give us the larger picture at the institution level and the relation with IT in regard to this.
Yeah, and I was in a session this morning with Paul LeBlanc, who's the president of Southern New Hampshire University, which is
great.
Yeah, and we spoke about this. He was actually speaking as a guest to a small group of CIOs and aspiring CIOs within EDUCAUSE. It's called the Hawkins Leadership Roundtable. So we had a sort of a very private time with him, and we were talking about the role of the CIO, and the point was made that the CIO, among all the C-level individuals within a college, we don't call them chiefs of most things, it's vice presidents of one thing or another, but those of us within the leadership roles, the CIO touches more operational aspects of that institution or that organization than any one other person, including the president. So we have an understanding of financial aid. We have an understanding of the cashier's office. We have an an understanding of institutional research and how data is manipulated and managed and maintained. So we really have the greatest breadth of knowledge and understanding and insight into how the college operates from a business process model than anyone else. So we have the greatest opportunity to influence that positively by leveraging technologies of one sort, form, or another. So if you're talking about velocity, to me that's just beeping in the cloud. Because if something goes down on our campus, as long as you can get to a cellular tower or some other form of internet access, you can get to a service that we're offering. So we actually have that baked into our business continuity plan. So, I think that's the higher level perspective, that we have that great ability and that insight of what everyone else is doing. So we can, when we're sitting around the table and somebody raises a question or an issue or they state a problem, we can connect the dots better than anybody else.
Sure. So we have 3 brilliant CIOs giving us concrete examples of the power of collaboration in terms of not only improving the perception of IT, but improving the user experience, user being customers, faculty, administration. I'm wondering, the 3 colleges, universities represented here, how many of you have undergraduate social media, social business curriculum, or graduate level classes that you offer today?
I'll go first. I don't think we have any right now. Well, that's a great point, and I think that I was just talking to our marketing director of marketing before this session, and we were talking about the Marketing Cloud, Salesforce, and some of the things we're about to do. And she was, I asked her, why aren't you teaching a class yet? She's brought into marketing classes to actually talk through some some key points in the industry now, but no formal class around it yet. That's a really good point, though. How about you guys? Stephen? Or
I think, and I'm going to oversimplify this, but we don't have a class teaching fish how to swim in water.
That's a good one. That's actually really good.
I understand from a business point of view, like in TerraSys, that you have some formal aspects of how you construct marketing conversations, what your message points are, and then you want to build that into how you then utilize social media. So we do not have any classes on campus. I wanted to start one, actually, but the pain that's required to build a curriculum is more than I want to endure right now. So you're looking at the academic world. It can take you, by the time you build the course syllabus, build a course curriculum, get it approved by the faculty senate, and move on, it could be 12 months or 18 months before the first course is put into the course catalog so students can select it. And in this world, as you all know, that's old data. That's old processes. So, and I'm not saying that's not a bad thing, because the rigors of academia are good, because it keeps everything at a level playing field. It makes sure the quality standards are there for the students, but it just takes a long time. It's a slow-moving ship. So we don't do that. But I really believe that fish know how to swim when they get to water. We don't have to teach them. And I think if we pay attention to 17 and 18-year-olds, they're really tuned in, especially the good ones. Now, what we do is we have social media ambassadors that are students. We've given them smartphones, and they wander around, and they're brought into, when they go through a training process that's managed by our PR and marketing division. So the students are off, and they're posting on our behalf. So hashtag Cecil College Life is what we use, and then the students post photographs to Instagram. They're very active, and it really has blossomed. We just started it this past fall, and that's really blossomed to help the college communicate with students and interact with their peers on our behalf. But in terms of actual courses, no.
I would add that we recently brought on a social media marketing specialist, and as we were looking at that, and we've been having dialogue from time to time. I sit on cabinet and we talk about new programs and where we're going, and there are certificates in social media being developed out there and programs being developed and offered. We do consider it, but it's hard, and it's very young and immature, this concept of getting people who are technically trained in social media and from a marketing perspective, because that's really where the jobs in social media are there. They're in marketing. But it's young and it's up and coming.
I have a question about mobile. The other day at EDUCAUSE, I moderated a panel with literally 7 CIOs. And so one of the questions that I asked was, what are you doing with mobile at your institution? And do you subscribe? People talk about this mobile first, and I said, so who has mobile first or mobile only with their application development? And all of them raised their hand, and they said, oh yes, that's the way we are. And I said, I'm skeptical. I think you guys are lying to me. And they
not us, no.
Yeah, right. It's like everybody's innocent, not me. But seriously, but they pushed back hard. They said, you know what, students want mobile, and that's what we do. So what are you guys finding as far as mobile versus desktop development? The truth now.
The truth? There is no desktop development. I mean, it's everything that we deliver is through our portal, and it's all mobilely focused. Everything is. It's that is the state of the world, not just this campus. So I think we just extend it or really leverage it at every aspect of our development process.
So Phil, you're not saying mobile first. You're saying mobile only.
Right? Oh, absolutely mobile only. There's no. Absolutely. I mean, I can make everything translate back to a desktop, but it's going to work first on a mobile device.
Yeah, anything new you're going to do, you're going to want to do and that's browser supported.
Right.
From day one.
Yep. I will say that I have questioned the mobile only concept. While I embrace the notion from an ADA compliance issue, it would be difficult to truly do that part. Mm-hmm. But mobile first, absolutely, we're all on board with that. So our students, we use Blackboard Learn, and so that we encourage our students to use Blackboard Mobile Learn, which is a robust, fully transactional product. It's in their smartphones, it's in their iPads, it's in their Androids. We have our student portal is now mobile, so they can, anything that they would do sitting in the desktop, going to their portal, whether it's looking for courses, registering for courses, checking their grades, requesting a transcript, all those kinds of student activities, they now do it mobile off of their phones or their iPads. So we are mobile first. Any new initiative has to have two components to it. It has to have mobile, and the vendor has to support the service with a cloud-hosted solution.
All right.
Well, it's almost about being device agnostic or device independent as much as it is being mobile.
Yes.
Right.
So Kelly, I'm taking from your comments that you're on board with these sentiments as well.
Oh, absolutely. We in the strategic plan that we're implementing right now, I did a strategic technology plan last year, looking out 3 years. Mobile is a key theme, so we have lots of initiatives going on. Some of it focused first on really working to get faculty across the board, especially adjunct faculty, to fully embrace Moodle and leverage it. And as we move to newer versions of Moodle, we got much better mobile functionality out of it. But we're doing a lot of different things. And one of the most exciting things that's really taken off is we've leveraged a voice conferencing solution that everybody's just yammering for, and it's the volume of minutes going across this thing. It's a tool called Zoom, high definition, real easy, friendly, device agnostic, essentially video conferencing, and from staff to faculty, everybody wants a piece of it, and faculty's getting pretty creative about using it. So that brings a lot of these, the mobile aspects in, and there's just so many ways that. Again, whatever you do, anything new you want to do, and every new step you take, you want to be more readily accessible through mobile platforms and whatever kind of connection people are going to have.
And I think we can talk about mobile first, but I think there's a couple pieces we all have to pay attention to, especially the CIOs. One is, do you truly have a culture of mobile on your campus? So, you listen to the three of us, and somebody back sitting watching this is going to go, oh, let's go do mobile first. Well, if you don't have that culture on your campus, you're going to run into a wall a lot. But then the other part is you have to have an incredibly robust and agile and highly available Wi-Fi network, including cellular service. Students don't care where they're getting their data from these days, but I certainly say that you need to have a really good, strong, robust, nimble, expandable, scalable Wi-Fi environment to support this. Somewhere in the order of 5-to-1 density ratio.
Those are great comments as we
unbelievable
go towards ending the show.
We need to have a phase 2 of this session. Do you guys work with startups? I'm curious because I read a lot about how startups are really flourishing and growing in terms of potential to disrupt education. It's all in the context of e-learning, or most of it is. But if you do work with startups, what advice do you have in terms of how they can better collaborate with institutions such as yourself? And I'll start with you, Phil.
And keep it quick because we're running out of time.
Okay, I would really give the advice to the administration more than the startups to really look at it. Usually, universities want to see these very, old, not old, but in place systems that you want to deal with them. You don't want to look at a brand new LMS startup to really understand their culture. But if we are a cloud culture, we're a mobile culture here at Seton Hill, and that's true. I totally with you, Steve, and I totally believe. I agree with you. You have to be able to accept it. And luckily enough, here I think we put our network in place and made that foundation layer so strong. We were able to have that communicate that out to our constituency and really leverage that layer. So it's definitely the key to our success here at Seton Hill for sure.
And Steve, do you work with startups? And if you do,
I'm very involved in the ed tech startup and the tech startup community in Philadelphia. And I tell startups, and typically we're talking about kids out that are in Wharton, Wharton School at Pennsylvania University. I tell them to sit with their target student population. Don't sell it to me. Don't show me. Don't take it to the venture capital funders yet.
Right.
Go sit and make sure you have a baked product that the students want to use. Because I suggest that the way you sell your product is to get the students engaged so they tell their faculty, say, hey, we want to use this. So I'm working with a company called FastFig, which is a word processor for math, which is really fascinating concept. So I tell them, work with students, your target student population, and really make sure you have a good, solid, well-baked product before you try and get it out there and float it out to the funding sources or even try and sell it.
It kind of echoes the consumerization of IT, the idea that we're responding to the fact that a lot of people are bringing tools in, they're using it at home and saying, I want to use this here, and sometimes it can make sense.
Absolutely. So having an open mind and embracing innovation, that's fantastic. Michael, I'm looking at it's 46 minutes after the start.
Yeah, this has been very quick.
And there's a half a dozen questions that we need
I know. So what is the key thing that you take away from this today? What strikes you, Lola?
I think that to be successful, regardless of your title or function, you have to first be interested. And I get a sense from these three brilliant CIOs that the reason that they're social and collaborative is because they're truly interested in the students, the faculty, administration, and that's my takeaway.
Yeah, I totally agree because I think, we both, you and I, we both meet many CIOs, and it gets me thinking, what's the difference between sort of an average CIO, and it's a very, very tough job, so I don't know if you can say there are any average CIOs, but there are some who stand out, and I think that the big difference is the passion for the work, the passion for the result, that it's not just an academic exercise, no pun intended, but they really feel it, they believe it, they're on a mission. I think that's... What's that?
I just read a book on the way out there from Alexio Hanahan from Reddit, without their permission, and he speaks about giving a damn. That's really, you got to give a damn about what you're doing. That's that, and I really... Those are the people that have succeeded with me here at Seton Hill. They really care about not just IT and what we do here, but this entire student perspective of how they interact here at Seton Hill. And it's refreshing to see that. It does.
So Kelly and Steve, you each get 30 seconds. Any closing thoughts, Kelly? Let's go with you.
Well, you gotta, like I said, you gotta love it. You gotta keep learning. You just never stop learning if you're gonna be in this field. But it's exciting, and it kind of makes you feel, I don't know if young is the word. Also feel pretty burnt out at the end of the day. But it's never been easier to learn new things. So it's an exciting field to be in, and when you love it, you want to bring a lot to it, and you've got so many ways to communicate. It's just a great thing to be doing, and a lot of fun.
And Steve, 30 seconds, and don't apologize for not bringing your Google Glass. That's okay.
Yeah.
I have one next to me, but they're charging at the moment. So I'll borrow from Hunter S. Thompson, the famous Gonzo author. Faster, faster, until the thrill of speed overcomes the fear of death.
Faster, faster.
Faster,
faster, until the thrill of speed overcomes the fear of death. Love it.
That's what we do every day in technology.
And on that upbeat
well said.
it's time to end this episode of CXOTalk. And I would very much like to thank our three guests today, Phil Komarny, who is the CIO of Seton Hill University, Stephen DiFilipo, who is the CIO of Cecil College,
There they are.
and the Google Glass bearing, actually the Google Glass bearing Stephen DiFilipo, and Kelly Walsh, who is the CIO of College of Westchester. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, sir.
Vala, as always,
Michael, great
is
show.
a pleasure.
Ouch.
And I hope everybody will come back and join us next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.